Okay, and we are live. Hi, I'm Philip Lee. I'm with the Seward County Community College Marketing and Public Relations Office, and I am here with new SEC Lady Saints head volleyball coach, Geno Frugoli. How are you today, Geno?
Hey, you got it right. Good. Everything's great. Thanks for having me.
And Geno has been here for a couple of weeks now, and he comes from the he comes over from the University of North Texas, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
And he actually has quite a resume, sports spanning 14 years, head coach at UMKC, Southeast Louisiana, also helped out at Baylor and his former stopover at University of North Texas. So, Coach Frugoli, tell us a little bit about your background and how are things going so far?
Yeah, I mean, when you say all that, I sound really old, don't I? But I've had a lot of stops, a lot of experience, so that's what I'm bringing to Seward County, and it's going well so far. I've had several recruits that have already committed for next fall, and a few coming for this next spring. So we're hitting the ground running and just enjoying it the whole way.
How's been your time over here at Seward County? Are you used to sort of being in a more remote kind of smaller cities? Sounds like being in Kansas City, being in Dallas, there's sort of a bigger Waco, bigger places.
Yeah. When I was at North Texas, I was in Denton, which was kind of a suburb of Dallas. So it felt small. But my first college job ever was in Mitchell, South Dakota at a place called Dakota Wesleyan University. And so when you live in Mitchell and you live by the Corn Palace and there's only 15,000 people there, you get used to what a small town can bring. And I can tell you from that experience that I was really excited how the community just kind of got around the volleyball program. And, as we started winning, everybody was really proud of it. And so I feel like this is a similar community that once they see some success and we get some local players in here with some of our international kids, we're really going to take off. And I hope everybody will be proud of what we're doing for the city of Liberal as well as the college.
It's kind of almost like, to a certain extent, that was your first job to come back up here. It's almost like full circle, almost to a certain extent, going back to sort of like a smaller kind of place. Do you prefer these times? Do you prefer smaller towns?
What made Seward a little original for me is every school that I've been since the start of my career, I've had to take one of the worst teams in the league and make them all the way up to the top. Mm-hmm. And that's even including Baylor. When I was at Baylor, we were near the bottom and we moved up. So for this particular job, the last coaching staff took them to the national championship. So for me, it's trying to take a great team and keep it great. That's a new challenge for me, so that excites me. So I don't mind the smaller town and the slower paced life. I think that's great. And I'm excited to try to win, at a really high level here. And again, that challenge just really intrigued me.
I'm glad that you mentioned that because that is sort of your MO. So it seems that you do come in to sort of almost what we would call a rebuilding program every time, and you've built it up rather successfully. And so again, so will that be kind of challenging, a little bit different when you have a core already that is basically has a high level?
It will be, and I have a very little amount of players right now. We're just getting going on recruiting, so there's a little bit of building too, which I'm so experienced at. But the core that we do have, the 5 young ladies that are here right now and the girls coming in, they're going to be great. And so it's going to be a cool challenge for me to take kids that already have skills and try to make them even better. I kind of equate it to when you're an actor, if you're an actor in Hollywood and you get the same roles all the time, you start getting, typecasted as just that type of coach. And so I think around the country, I kind of got typecasted like, oh yeah, Geno will take this job because it's in his wheelhouse that they're bad and we'll get them good, Mm-hmm. So for me, this is going to be fun to not go through all the painful losses, hopefully, not go through all the painful losses and all the growing pains that kind of goes with growing a program. I'm looking forward to lots of winning and lots of happiness and lots of good players coming in here for the right reasons. And so I think that's going to be the big change is I think even the mental aspect of your players are going to be different because they're coming in expecting to win. Where before I was trying to get players just to like volleyball again and, try to not lose. So very different.
Right. So actually, here's a kind of an interesting. I won't say dilemma, but interesting philosophy coming in is that while everyone's used to winning, but now, like you said, you only have basically 5 kids. You have 3 returnings, two new kids, and that sort of presents a different problem because you're talking about depth. That when one goes down, you're in sort of a lot of trouble. So there still could be a lot of growing pains to go in. So, what are your expectations coming in for the spring season? Which is kind of weird to say, actually, but for the fall semester,
Yeah, that's a good.
spring semester, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like what we're doing is cross-training a lot of the kids. The 3 hitters that we have here right now are all about the same capability. If they can learn to hit all the different positions, we can keep our depth that way. And then I'm bringing in some kids. They're probably going to be U.S. kids, or I have one transfer from another school in our conference. We're just going to have to teach them how to be mentally tough and be able to play multiple positions, be able to play a lot. We got to get through the spring. And then I feel like once we get to the fall, hopefully we can get more of the foreign kids in. We can get even better American kids in, a healthier roster. All that stuff will come. But right now it's kind of looking more short-sighted as far as just training these kids up to do everything that we need them to do, and then try to add if we can. So that's kind of where my head is right now.
Have you had any kind of difficulty sort of retraining kids? I'm sure you have sort of a different philosophy going in terms of have the players been taken to that?
Yeah, I guess a little bit. The players that were on the team last year, the 3 girls you mentioned, they went all the way to the national championship game. So they're looking at me saying, well, coach, why do I have to change this or that? And so I've had to do some, kind of sit downs with them and say, here's what I see. Let's watch the video. How come you can't do this or do that? And, once they see that and they know where their deficiencies are, and then I think they all respect me because I've come from the Division I level, and I can say, if you want to go on to a bigger school, this is the stuff they're going to look at. So we're kind of going through that battle with a couple of them, but for the most part, they've all been working really hard, have good attitudes about it. I can't complain about that. So there's some sort of different techniques that I bring. There's a different offense that I bring. So I feel like the people in the community that have come to games last year and they come see us, they should see a different brand of volleyball, maybe a little more exciting, a little quicker. So we're excited to showcase that if we can get all the timing and everything down on it.
It's about buying in, right?
Yes. And sometimes as a coach, you can't have an ego. You have to understand that they've come from a successful program and not want to change the world. Do what they can do well, but then let's just add the things that I know will help. And so I think that's kind of where we're at right now, trying to marriage those two.
I noticed that you have your master's in leadership, 2002, and how do you use that as coaching?
I was one of those kids that I was raised by a family where I had to earn everything that I got. And so I knew education was really important. So my resume, I have 3 degrees. I have 2 4-year degrees, one in education, one in business administration. To me, running a team is just like a business. So I've actually used my business degree quite a bit. And then that leadership master's that I got at the University of Sioux Falls, I've had to shadow some leaders in athletics, like a principal, an athletic director, an administrator, those kind of things. And I've learned a lot from that process too. And so I've learned that, maybe when you talk about leadership, it's earning respect, not asking for it. It's guiding more than directing. It's a lot of those type of principles. So the girls are learning that from me too. They're trying to push their limits when they can, and you got to throw some discipline in, but they're also learning that they have a voice, and I want them to be self-thinkers on the court. That philosophy, that caring philosophy, and that coaching style is, I think, more of the way most coaches should go moving forward. I think kind of that era of the coaches like Bobby Knight that throw chairs and yell at people and stuff. I think the kids nowadays, they just don't respond to that as well. So you'll see a different style with me. I'm not a huge yeller screamer. I'm pretty technical. If I'm throwing a clipboard or something really went wrong. I don't think I'm one of those guys, but yeah, so that's a little bit about my style and what I'm bringing.
And one of the things is that speaking of sharing your leadership concepts and skills, I guess that'll sort of go really well because you have three sophomores, and a lot of times you'll have, you look to the older players to provide leadership, and hopefully you can sort of share some of your techniques with them.
For sure, and it's almost a proven thing, for me. Like, I'd like you to do this, and they look at me and say, really? And I go, this is why. Okay, well, I tell you what, let's do this. Why don't you try your way, and then let's try my way, and let's figure it out. I've been doing this for 30 years. You've been playing a little less, and I was a player. I'm pretty sure my way's better, but let's see if your way's better. Sometimes it goes to that extreme,
Right.
before they buy in. But for me, it's about making the athletes internally motivated. I want them to want to practice and say, what am I going to learn today? I don't want them to say, oh, geez, I got to go to practice and run today, or he's going to yell at me, or what. I think that's a real key, especially with smaller numbers, is how can you draw it out of them for this so they want to do it.
I also noticed you talked about education, how important it is, and I noticed that when you were over at UMKC, you've had a lot of academic All-Americans. How important is the academics to you for the athletes? We always say, and it's almost like a cliche, but it's true that they're student athletes and should be students first. Where do you sort of fit in with that?
The international athletes, it's critical because not only are they trying to pass classes, but they're trying to learn English. And so for them to move forward in their educational path, they need to learn that. So I take that very seriously. I want to get those kids that opportunity. But for all these young ladies, I think they need to learn good study habits. They need to learn how to understand what the professor wants and work hard at achieving great grades. The last school I was at, they had a team GPA of a 3.7 last semester, which is incredible. And a lot of that, I think, was just us as coaches staying in tune with their classes and asking about it and talking to their professors and, those things that you need to do. So it's so important. I also was at Baylor and UMKC, which are very academic institutions. So if we had to cancel a practice or move a practice to the morning because a girl had a test or, all kinds of things happen in the academia world, as you know. So we would adjust that because I think it's that important to me. And I think when the girls know that you care about their academics, that makes them even more loyal and wanting to work harder on the court.
Great. So do you feel yourself any kind of pressure on you? As you said that we've done such a great job and the team has been pretty well. Do you sort of feel any kind of pressure?
Yeah, I think, there's always that expectation. And so trying to tamper expectations with people, I want people to know that I was left with only 5 players, and with COVID, it's hard to get the same quality of players that they had here before, because the U.S. consulate is closed. And I just kind of asked, should almost be more like instead of a regular season, look at more like a scrimmage type season, and then which looks like right now the fall. So yeah, I do feel a little bit of that pressure, but again, that's why I took the job, because I wanted to be part of a winning culture and expected to win. I'm a coach that I expect to win every time I go on the floor. I'm training my girls to have that mental toughness to win all the time. So, I think it only becomes a problem when you're not prepared. So a lot of coaches will tell you that fear comes when you're not prepared and ready to play. And so if we're ready to play, there's nothing to be fearful about, because we're going to go out and do our jobs and we're going to win.
Great. Now, so I understand too that you've been part of the community already. You've been actually out and about. You've joined some civic organizations already. You've gone to the high school and met with people. So how have people been treating you, and what have you sort of been doing out in the community?
Yeah, I joined the Kiwanis Club, and they meet at 6 a.m. on Thursdays, and that's been bittersweet because it's really hard for me to get up. But when I get there, I enjoy it, and I really enjoy the guys and meeting everybody from the community that come and speak there. I've met Coach Bestecker, I think is her name, Megan, who's the high school coach at Liberal High School. And we talked about kind of the volleyball culture and community here in town, and maybe some stuff we can do later. And then just meeting people from the college and then out in the community. I talked at the Rotary Club, and there's been a lot of opportunities for me to really reach out and meet people. And what I've noticed is people care about the program. You could tell why they were successful here before, because everybody's asking, oh my gosh, you only have these players, and what can we do, and how can we help, or we can't wait to see you guys. So I could see that culture built in the town, and I love that. So my job is to just try to make that even bigger and greater, and have people have even more pride in the team and the program and the college. And we're going to just do that slowly, just by doing the right things.
Talk a little bit about community service with your girls. Obviously, we're talking about the community and how it is, and we think that it's really, really important for the girls to go out over there and meet the people who support them. What are your thoughts on that?
That's huge, especially when we're like a lot of the other programs here, where I think we need to live on host families and host booster families and stuff that can maybe help us with meals, or having a place for some of the international kids to come live, which is such a great experience to have someone in your house from a different culture and learn from them. And I know there's been a lot of good things that have come out of those relationships. So, just trying to cultivate all that and get them out to talk with people. I think something that's really could improve here is the relations with the Hispanic people here in town, because I think there's a large population here, and from what I notice, Hispanics love soccer first,
right?
And then they usually love volleyball second. They played at their churches, and they love getting involved with it and stuff. So maybe if we can get some of those folks out, because it's a night out with the family here and stuff, and so, I mean, I was really thinking, and even talking with our athletic director, about maybe reaching out to some community there and trying to get some of those folks in. But so, I mean, I think there's room for growth. I think there's room to even go further out in the community, but also appreciate all the people that have supported this program in the past, and try to cultivate those relationships, and let them know that if they give me the same type of support, I'll work as hard as I can for them.
I think that's just awesome, Coach. Going out there thinking, to me, it's almost like thinking outside the box. You're going over there thinking of getting a lot of people and the community and trying to tap into them, because we think about certain things, but we don't think about actual human resources and trying to get them. And you're looking about that already. I think that's great. Possibly out of necessity, but still, it's important. It's important that you're thinking that. And, I think that if that's the path you're going to take, you're going to fit right in great here.
Oh, good. And, COVID's going to be a little bit of a challenge, because I think people are a little gun shy of everything that's going on right now. But I just think if everybody's patient, we're going to look back and maybe have an interview like this a year from now, and you'll see big changes and positive changes. And we'll just see if we can copy the success of last year's team, but you'll see a lot more around that.
Let's just talk about real quick a couple more things. And you had mentioned it about the skittishness, and obviously you're talking about COVID. How have your practices been? How have the girls dealt with it? How have you dealt with it? And has it changed anything, your approach to practice and how you're treating the girls?
It's kind of around us, because when international students come in from other programs like the basketball teams or whatever, they've been quarantined. I've heard before I got here, there were some cases around town and stuff like that. So it's kind of like that presence that's kind of around you all the time. But, we take the precautions that the CDC and everyone talks about, lots of masks and stuff, taken very seriously on campus here at Seward County. So, just protecting ourselves when we're away off the court, and just doing the right things, and staying socially distanced. And, we talk about that on occasion with the girls, but for the most part, it's been business as usual as far as when it comes to volleyball training and the girls going to class and that kind of stuff, other than the occasional differences of like wearing a mask. So. Yeah.
You still need an assistant volleyball coach. How's that coming along?
Yeah, I have a couple candidates in mind that I'm talking with. My top candidate is someone I'd like to get here, but we're working on like paperwork for him, and trying to get him a work visa, because it's someone I think that would really get along with a lot of the players. So I don't know if that's happened or not. So right now, I'm talking with Dan, and we're just kind of looking at the different options that I have. And so
Mm-hmm.
we'll have an assistant probably in place, I'd say, in the next month or so. And then we'll even be able to do things even at a higher level and more efficiently, you know. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to working with someone that's going to really help the program. I'm looking for someone maybe a little bit more experienced,
Mm-hmm.
just because we have so much building to do from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Okay. And the final question is like, what so far, if you would say, what has sort of been the biggest challenge so far?
I think the biggest challenge has been just to build the relationships with the community members. And that's why I'm putting so much effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though the team won a lot last year, I kind of get a sense that there were a lot of relationships that were tore down or burnt just between the last coaching staff and maybe a lot of the community members or whatever. Not sure. Like, I don't ask, and I don't really want to get in the business of what they did.
Sure.
But just that's kind of the sense I get. So for me, it's all about getting everyone as passionate as me about the sport and about the team. And we're going to do everything we can to do that.
Okay. Coach, anything else you want to
That's
add?
the way I like to operate. Well, I want people to know that's the way I like to operate. I'm a positive guy. If you see a frown on my face or something really must have went bad, because I'm pretty happy a happy everyday guy. And I want everybody that's involved with the program who wants to do something in the program, I want them to feel welcome. I've even had parents and coaches and administrators and stuff already watching my practices. I'm fine with that. I want them to know my style, what we're doing, and be proud of it. So, for me, I'm kind of an open book, and I just want to welcome everybody in. And, I just hope I get that love back. So.
All right. Well, Coach, I really appreciate you taking time to give us a little insight into your life and into the team program right now. And we're looking forward to the season coming up in the spring, which, as I said, is just kind of weird to hear. But it's going to come by real quick too. I mean, before you know it, it's going to be. When is the first game?
January 23rd is, I think, our first game, and we're going to go to a tournament like on the 29th that will have 3 teams from the national tournament from last year. We're not going to travel a lot or have an extensive schedule because of COVID, but that one was up in Sterling, Kansas, and I think it's something that would just help me gauge where my team is at compared to some of those other schools. I'm thinking those schools are having problems as well with me as far as getting players and putting their squads together. So it will be a good test. But yeah, it's coming up quick, that's for sure. But a little too quick. I want more time to recruit and get things going. But it will be good. Hopefully we'll be ready by then.
All right. Coach Frugoli, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time, and we will talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, Philip. I appreciate the coverage. Yep.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.